Hi everyone, it's Helen Hota here, founder of Form Help, and we are on the smarttraveller.gov.au website, and we are doing a Smart Traveller Advice Daily Update for the following countries: Cote d'Ivoire or the Ivory Coast, Senegal, Russia, Austria, Maldives, Samoa and Spain. Okay, let's get straight into reading the latest updates for Cote d'Ivoire. Okay, so this is updated on the 22nd of April and is still current as at today, being the 27th of April. And it reads, to enter Cote d'Ivoire, you no longer need proof of a negative COVID-19 test result if you're fully vaccinated. And if you're not fully vaccinated, you will need evidence of a negative COVID-19 PCR test taken within 72 hours of arrival. And the Australian government does advise exercise a high degree of caution in Cote d'Ivoire overall due to the high risk of civil unrest and the high levels of violent crime. And again, the advice levels: exercise a high degree of caution in Cote d'Ivoire. Do not travel to border areas with Mali and Burkina Faso, particularly the regions of Folon, Bagua, Poro, Golago, the provinces of Northern Zanzan and Savines, as well as in the Bukano region, which includes Comoé National Park. Bad pronunciation there. And reconsider your need to travel to the regions bordering Liberia, particularly the Cavale, Guemon, San Pedro and Tonkpi regions within 50 km of the border with Liberia. Now if you scroll down below, there is more information there for you to read, and that is the latest travel advice updates from the Australian government for Cote d'Ivoire or the Ivory Coast. Next we'll go to Senegal. Now this is updated on the 22nd of April and it's still current as at today, being the 27th of April. And it reads, if you're fully vaccinated, you must show a COVID-19 vaccination certificate with a QR code before boarding your flight. And if you're not fully vaccinated, you must show a negative COVID-19 PCR or RT-PCR test result issued within 72 hours of departure. The Australian High Commission in Accra currently has very limited capacity to provide consular assistance in Senegal, and the Australian government does advise exercise a high degree of caution in Senegal overall due to the threat of criminal activity and civil unrest. And the advice levels are: exercise a high degree of caution in Senegal and reconsider your need to travel to the Casamance region of southern Senegal, except Cap Skirring, Ziguinchor, and the main road between these cities. And if you scroll down below, there is more information there for you to read, and that is the latest travel advice update from the Australian government for Senegal. Next we'll go to Russia. Okay, so this was updated on the 22nd of April and it's still current as at today, being the 27th. And it reads, do not travel to Russia due to the security environment and military conflict with Ukraine. Now, if you're in Russia, leave immediately using the limited commercial options available or private means if it's safe to do so. Now, the Australian government has authorised the voluntary departure of dependents of Australian embassy staff in Moscow, and the security situation could deteriorate further with little warning. Now, the Russian parliament has passed laws that severely inhibit free speech related to the current situation, imposing restrictions on the publishing and distribution of information related to the Russian armed forces and any military operations. Remain vigilant and avoid any protests or demonstrations and commenting publicly on political developments. Now, non-participating bystanders can draw scrutiny from security forces and have been detained. Now, given the substantial police presence and mass arrests, you should avoid demonstrations and any demonstration-related activities. Russian authorities may adopt a more negative attitude towards foreigners in Russia, and Russian authorities may enforce local laws in an arbitrary manner. Now, you may be interrogated without cause by Russian officials and may become a victim of harassment, mistreatment, and extortion. The US government issued travel advice on the 29th of March, advising that Russian security services have arrested US citizens on spurious charges, singled out US citizens in Russia for detention and or harassment, denied them fair and transparent treatment, and have convicted them in secret trials and or without presenting credible evidence. The US government warns that Russian officials may unreasonably delay consular assistance due to detained US citizens. Conscription occurs regularly in Russia, and the government may subject males it regards as Russian to mandatory conscription, regardless of any other citizenship held. Now, conscription in Russia occurs semi-annually, and conscripts typically serve 1 year. Now, the first conscription of 2022 will take place from the 1st of April to the 15th of July. And if you're in Russia, register your whereabouts on the Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade's registration portal for Australian citizens in Russia. So see the safety section below for details on how to register. Keep your registration details up to date to ensure we're aware of your situation and can provide you with the latest information. Continue to monitor Smart Traveller for updates, and if despite our advice you remain in Russia, you may be affected by shortages of essential products and services. Several security incidents have occurred in the Belgorod region of Russia bordering Ukraine, including an explosion at a fuel depot. The security situation in the region could deteriorate at short notice, and you shouldn't attempt to travel to the Russia-Ukraine border or cross into Ukraine from Russia. On the 11th of April 2022, the EU announced that 21 Russian-owned airlines were banned from flying in EU airspace due to safety concerns. DFAT doesn't provide information on the safety of individual commercial airlines or flight paths, so if you're flying domestically or internationally, you should research your aviation provider. Commercial travel routes between Russia and Europe have been impacted by measures taken in response to military action in Ukraine. A number of Russian airports are now closed to the public. The train service between St. Petersburg and Helsinki is suspended. Bus services to Finland are operating, and if you're planning to depart Russia, confirm with your transport operator that services are still operating. Now, there are reports of non-Russian credit and debit cards being declined in Russia, so be prepared with an alternate means of payment should your cards be declined. If you decide to stay in Russia, review your personal security plans. You're responsible for your own safety and that of your family. Make sure your travel documents are up to date, and if you have significant concerns for your welfare or that of another Australian, contact the Consular Emergency Centre on 1300 555 135 in Australia or +61 2 6261 3305 outside of Australia. And the Australian government continues to advise do not travel to Russia overall due to the security environment and the military conflict with Ukraine. And again, the advice levels: do not travel to Russia and do not travel to North Caucasus. And that is the latest travel advice update from the Australian government for Russia. Next, we'll go to Austria. So this is updated on the 21st of April and is still current as at today being the 27th of April. And it reads, most COVID-19 measures across Austria have been lifted except for mandatory FFP2 masks on public transport and in essential shops. Now, to enter Austria, you must have proof of vaccination, proof of recovery, or a negative COVID-19 test, and further changes may occur at short notice, so check for updates before travel. And the Australian government does advise exercise a high degree of caution in Austria due to the impacts of COVID-19. And again, the advice levels exercise a high degree of caution in Austria. Now, if you scroll down below, there is more information there for you to read. And that is the latest travel advice update from the Australian government for Austria. Next, we'll move to Maldives. Maldives. Now, this was updated on the 21st of April and is still current as at today being the 27th. And the latest update reads, you no longer need a COVID-19 PCR test to enter the Maldives. Now, check before travel if your airline requires any specific COVID-19 test, and you must complete a traveller declaration form 72 hours before departure to and from the Maldives, and unvaccinated COVID-19 travellers entering the Maldives under specific visa categories may still be required to undergo PCR testing and mandatory quarantine periods on arrival. Now, the Australian government does advise exercise a high degree of caution in the Maldives overall due to the impacts of COVID-19, and then other levels apply in some areas. And again, the advice levels exercise a high degree of caution in the Maldives and exercise a high degree of caution in Malay and Whole Malay. Okay, so now if you scroll down below, there is more information there for you to read, and that is the latest travel advice update from the Australian government for Maldives. Next, we'll go to Samoa. Samoa, okay, so this was updated on the 21st of April and is still current as at today being the 27th. And it reads, Samoa will be at alert level 2 under state of emergency orders from midnight on the 5th of April. Under alert level 2, businesses can operate between 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. on Monday to Saturday and from 12 noon to 8 p.m. on Sundays. Now, a daily nationwide curfew is in place from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. Samoa's borders continue to be closed to all travellers from Australia, and monthly repatriation flights between Australia and Samoa have been approved for April and May. Now, to receive information on current flight restrictions, Australians can contact the Australian High Commission at this email. So the email over here. And if you've had a positive COVID-19 PCR test, you'll only be allowed to travel to Samoa if you meet strict criteria. Now, the Australian government does advise reconsider your need to travel to Samoa due to the impacts of COVID-19. And again, the advice levels, reconsider your need to travel to Samoa. Now, if you scroll down below, there is more information there for you to read, and that is the latest travel advice updates from the Australian government for Samoa. And lastly, we'll go to Spain. Spain. Okay, so this was updated on the 21st of April and is still current as of today being the 27th of April. And it reads, COVID-19 remains a risk in Spain. Most safety measures other than wearing a mask have been lifted. Masks are required when travelling on public transport and within health and aged care facilities. Now, if you're arriving by air, you must provide an EU digital COVID certificate or complete the SPTH health control form. Now, if you're travelling to Spain for tourism purposes, you can enter with either proof of vaccination or a COVID recovery certificate. Now, you should refer to the Spanish health website for the most up-to-date information on entry into Spain. And the Australian government does advise exercise a high degree of caution in Spain due to the impacts of COVID-19. And again, the advice levels exercise a high degree of caution in Spain. Now, if you scroll down below, there is more information there for you to read, and that is the latest travel advice update from the Australian government for Spain. And that concludes our Smart Traveller Advice Daily Update for those countries. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe. It's Helen Hortai, founder of Form Help, signing out. Thanks.